Speaking of Meta, which is one of those companies that you and me both love to analyze, Zuckerberg recently came out and said to employees in a Q&A session that he thinks one of the worst economic downturns in his lifetime is coming. They are not hiring 12,000 engineers. They're now scaling that back to about 6,000 to 7,000 engineers. Given, I know you're in the sales, advertising, analytics world, do you have any insight to give on ad spend? And second question, if Zucks is thinking it's going to get bad, do you think he's seeing across the board advertisers are lowering their budgets, which is typically what happens during a recession?
Yes. So right off the bat, one of the first things any major company looks at coming up to or even approaching a maybe recession, because I don't want to definitely say it's going to be, advertising is the easiest place to cut, as is hiring, right? They're still going to keep hiring, but they're going to slow it down. That's a known capital cost. It's already built into the numbers. Those aren't surprise things. So it's okay. It's an easy place to cut. It's very much like the teeny earlier. There's just certain things we can slow down to have a near-term direct impact on the projections for our business. Now, the ads piece is really interesting. This is a place I spend a lot of time on in my 10 hours a day that I work. So I think the way to really approach this is, although advertising will get cut, it's not going to go away, right? So step one, we're going to see some tightening or some constriction. The next piece of it is we're going to then want to understand, okay, who is providing the most bang for the buck or the best ROI for everyone who's out there doing the advertising. And, I know Meta is like the company everyone loves to hate. But the reality is the bang for the buck on advertising within Meta has been pretty damn good. I mean, that's why they consistently keep doing well. That's why we consistently keep seeing growth there, because
they had 26 billion of ad revenue in one quarter last year. That's insane. Last 6 months.
That's insane, right? And considering everyone says no one uses it and it's useless and there's no reason to do it, I'm gonna be like crystal clear in this statement. I can't even tell you how many senior executives I speak to who look at every single penny of advantage they can find. They're looking at CPM rates. They're looking at budgets versus actuals. They're looking at forecasting deep based on those advertising dollar spends. There is a reason why some of these companies that seem to always be in front of the Senate, always in trouble, just keep on smashing away because they're getting results, and those results are measured. So this is like that super common theme of people who aren't in this world where they say like, Facebook sucks and no one's using Meta. No one wants the metaverse. Yeah, I got news for you. They do. And the data shows that they do. And the ability to have unbelievably custom approaches to advertising, this is a really big, I did a video about this, but I want to step back because I think this is worth you and I talking about for a second. So I'm going to finish the answer, but I want to talk specifically about the Meta and where advertising could work there. I don't know that it will yet, but could. So then the question becomes, when we look at our consolidated advertising spending that's getting optimized, because that's really, I think, the right word to use. When things get tight, we don't cut spending, we optimize spending. That means the fluff and the edge we can get rid of, we focus on the main stuff. So what's interesting here is it has to become like, who are the primary buyers? Stop hunting for new buyers that don't fit the profile of a lookalike or a cluster-based campaign. And it really gets to the point of, where does it work? How does it work? We A/B test it, all these kind of great things. And then these are the players who are going to win from it, right? Like, is Google really, are people going to stop advertising on Google and YouTube? Absolutely not. No. It might mean that less of the scammy stuff is in there because those are the people who aren't going to be able to make money during a downturn. If you're selling, a
$497 options trading course.
Let me tell you, man. I keep getting this same ad for the past week of this dude who's like, what would you rather have, this laptop or this house? Well, obviously the laptop. I'm like, no, dude, I'd rather have the mansion you're showing in the background. And I'll just buy a laptop after I sell it. I mean, my God, come on. I get your scam. I get it, man. But
that's like the whole, would you have dinner with Jay-Z or would you have 500,000 cash? It's like, yeah, I'll take Jay-Z would tell you to take the 500. Right?
Yeah. Stop it. Just stop. Those are the kind of ads that are going to disappear. Because the stone cold reality is we're hitting an interesting time in that space anyways. But to talk about Meta for a second, so I think it's an interesting sort of diatribe we can take here. For those who don't spend a lot of time looking at ad spend, I know we're sort of all over the map here, but if you don't spend a lot of time looking at ad spend, I'll give you a basic idea of how it works. You can tell if someone interacts with your ad. Maybe you click a link or you look at it or you click to expand a post to see more about it or something to that effect. And then you can track maybe another degree of separation. As an example, perhaps the degree of separation is after they came to my link, did they click 4 pages or 10 pages or 20?
So Sean, let me do you one solid right here while you're speaking, because this will really get people. So here we go. This is what a typical Facebook advertising manager looks like. You have your name of the campaign, delivery, your ROAS, return on ad spend, budget, results, reach, impressions, cost per result. I mean, granular data to figure out what's working, what's not working.
And this is also pre-analytics. This is just diagnostic descriptive, right? So this is sort of like the what you did, what happened from it. Exactly right, though. This is exactly the thing. You can see what they did with your ad, how they interacted with it. You can take it a step further and see, okay, once they clicked the ad or engaged with the ad, now they visited certain pages or downloaded a white paper or downloaded a trial or watched a video on your site. And maybe in some cases, let's say it's a clothing company, right? Okay, I came on, I bought a shirt. It's got a coffee pot on it, and they know that I bought it, but now they don't know from there, right? There's a point where advertising now stops and we lose information about that client and the process. The power of a potential virtual world with advertising integrated in it, or even purchasing integrated into it, is we now not only can track from an analytics perspective, not only what you were interested in, what you bought, but what you're doing with it, how often you interact with it, who else sees it, what those other third parties might look like. So it's kind of a silly example, admittedly, but let's say you and I go into the metaverse and we're doing this show now in our meta house within our meta studio, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we buy our little, like my kids play Roblox and Fortnite, right? So Fortnite, you can buy skins. I think anyone who knows that is familiar. You can buy skins, a little different axes and stuff, and you can wrap the weapons in different kind of skins. Same with Roblox. You can customize your figure. You can use real Robux that cost real dollars, and you can go and get custom looking figurines or whatever you want. So like that's sort of step one of like, oh, I get what you like to buy. I get how often you use it. I get who you play with, and that might influence them to buy it as well. But that's still only like really layer 2, maybe layer 3. As we go deeper into this from a tech perspective and a data perspective, what begins to get very interesting is now maybe I listen to certain songs in the metaverse. Maybe I want to put certain types of furniture in my little fake house, and I wear certain types of outfits when I go out in the metaverse. And I know, listen, I'm 39. I know how silly it sounds when I say these things, but the reality is the internet was also not supposed to work. And then Facebook was never going to work. And then people don't want to watch videos that are only 15 seconds long, but that's crushing it. The reality is people want to interact with things in an interesting way, and they're already doing it, right? The biggest reason why people say the metaverse is BS and doesn't do anything, it's like, well, who wants to live in a virtual world? It's like, okay, how about like, I can't think of, what's the Nintendo game? Something Crossing.
Legends, Animals Crossing, I think that's the name of it.
Whatever it is, you build a little house, you have to get a mortgage on the house, and you have to remortgage your house to build a bigger house. And I'm watching my kids play this game, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. You have to like work the land, go fishing, then you have to pay a banker a mortgage in this game. I was like, this is my real life in the real world.
Yeah.
And it's perfect because they can track everything you're doing and they can understand your habits and your behaviors. With the metaverse, it's even deeper because they can not only advertise to you in there, they can track usage of the products that you buy. I'm talking not about Facebook, but about those advertisers.
Right.
You buy a shirt and you wear it a couple of times, and now you want to get a new shirt for your metaverse nightclub that you're going to. So anyways, not to take you on a total diatribe on it, but there is layers of data that this introduces advertisers and companies to in product usage data. In the B2B world, it's different. If you buy a software product, I can track license activations, daily logins, monthly logins, activation rates, overall usage rates, right? All these kinds of things are tracked back because it lives on the cloud somewhere, and you pull down all that info. Consumer goods are very hard to track. This is cracking potentially a whole new world of what and how you can get to that data, get access to that data, and track the usage of those products within it. So do you
think it's okay for Zucks to be taking the losses they're taking on the metaverse spending because of how big the potential is you've described? So like investors have to be ready to see on the earnings that there's some losses because of that.
I think that I'm going to ask you a question. If he doesn't, and just keeps Facebook the way it is, do they ultimately beat their competitors?
Well, this is the interesting thing, because we know Apple is coming for the headset and they want to control the hardware and the software. And, if Facebook doesn't, then Apple controls, and their next S curve of growth is there. We don't know if it's going to be successful, but there's a good chance because it's Apple and they might pull it off.
Yep.
So Facebook just becomes a assimilation of, or amalgamation of, blogs and news magazines, which is literally just my feed and a couple of posts from my friends.
Agreed.
Then yeah, maybe it dies out eventually, like Yahoo.
Well, and it's funny because like when I think about what Facebook is today versus what it could be tomorrow, we're talking about a totally different company. And I think that he's, you know, I get that people don't like the dude and it's fine, but he's obviously extremely, extremely intelligent and sees something based on the data that the rest of us don't.
Yes.
What I know about Facebook is this: they're collecting data on everything. And I really doubt that they're going out there and trying to make this thing happen with no information. Right. That's what I doubt. So, you know, I'm not saying that that's something that you should invest in or not invest in. I'm just saying
it's not financial advice.
It's not financial advice. And it's an interesting call out because this is part of what big long-term macro investing is this a trend that will fundamentally change the way we interact with our friends, the way we talk to our family, where we go to hang out, how we interact with products, where we play video games, where we work out, how we get advertised to and buy things? Like if you know, I have a headset that doesn't work for years now, but if I put this thing on my head and I'm playing this game and I get an ad for like a Domino's cheese pizza or something, and all I have to do is shoot a little missile at it. I mean, now it's not only fun, but now there's a pizza coming to my house. So it's like, when you start thinking about the scale of what you can do, it's pretty insane. I want to tie this back to one thing, and then I'll give it back to you. This is going back now, probably, man, I don't know. This is going back to 2016, 15. Oh, wow. Longer than I thought. So over 5 years ago, I had been in an angel investing group in the New England area. And one of the things we were starting to see was a lot of people pre-building advertising in augmented space or the VR space. I think the reason VR didn't ultimately take off the way they thought was the technology was too clunky and there wasn't enough to do in it. But they were already figuring out ways to have non-invasive product advertising.
Right.
They were just too soon. It's sort of like Amazon before the bust. Like, great idea, great execution, tiny bit too early, but that's why they lasted. Ever since seeing those, and I'm talking literally 2015 here, ever since seeing these folks who were like way ahead of the curve, I haven't stopped paying attention to it. I'm not invested in that space in any way, but it's one of those moments where you're like, what are you seeing? Why are you investing so heavily here? And as I started to look at more and more of the data, then of course, Fortnite, Roblox, these are just miniature versions of what they're trying to get to, which is more, not all inclusive. What's the word I'm looking for?
More like kind of cohesive advertising, because a Facebook ad feels natural. Like it just has a little sponsored right up top. You don't even notice it's an ad, right?
It's true, man. Like we talk about this with Twitter all the time. When you're scrolling through Twitter, you know it's an ad.
You know it's an ad.
Yeah, and you're immediately past it. And actually, what I do is I just block them all.
Yeah.
So I don't have to look at them again. And that's a terrible feature to allow, by the way. But neither here nor there. I get why they do it. But yeah, we'll see what happens, man. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're going to see people engage in things in different ways, right? I mean, I see some of the commercials where they're doing the workouts and they're shooting at asteroids and stuff. And like, I mean, like, can you honestly tell me that no one wants to do that? Come on. Of course they do. Like when I get on the Peloton, I like to do the ones where you can like pick a location somewhere in the world and you're driving through the streets. And however fast you go is how fast the video goes. And that's only a microcosm of it. But it's just an example of like an all embracing experience where I get to live and feel like I'm there, like driving next to the Eiffel Tower. It's an amazing thing. It's cool to see all this stuff, you know?
Right.